The wistful tale of my woeful experience at the Orangers Beach Resort and Bungalows, Hammamet. It's a story of shattered dreams, of promises unkept, of a vacation that went horribly awry. As I stepped into this supposed oasis, I couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement, of anticipation. The brochure had promised so much: a tropical paradise, a haven of relaxation, a gem nestled on the sun-kissed shores of Hammamet. But, alas, the harsh reality was a far cry from the idyllic fantasy. First, the facade, a rundown, dilapidated exterior that seemed to scream neglect and disrepair. The once vibrant colors had faded, the walls were cracked, and the doors creaked with an eerie worn-outness. It was as if the very fabric of the resort was crying out for a fresh coat of paint, a gentle touch of TLC. And then, the rooms, a veritable nightmare of discomfort and despair. The beds, stiff and unyielding, seemed to mock me with their very presence. The pillows, flat and lifeless, offered no solace, no respite from the exhaustion that had begun to creep in. The air conditioner, a relic from a bygone era, rattled and sputtered, its feeble attempts at cooling a cruel joke in the sweltering heat. But, I digress. The true horror, the pièce de résistance of this vacation gone wrong, was the food. Oh, the food. A culinary abomination, a gastronomic affront to the senses. The taste, a cacophony of bitter and sour notes, assaulted my palate with all the finesse of a sledgehammer. The texture, a gelatinous, unappetizing mush, seemed to cling to my tongue like a bad habit. And the smell, dear heavens, the smell. A noxious cloud of grease and stagnation that hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the atrocities that lay before me. And then, of course, there was the service. The staff, seemingly chosen for their ability to ignore, to disregard, to dismiss, left me feeling like an afterthought, a mere inconvenience in their otherwise uneventful day. The waiters, slow and inattentive, seemed to enjoy my suffering, my frustration, as I waited, and waited, and waited for the simplest of requests to be fulfilled. But what's a vacation without a little recreation, a little relaxation? Ah, yes, the beach. A haven of tranquility, a sanctuary from the chaos that surrounded me. Or so I thought. The towels, reserved for the privileged few who deigned to tip, lay sprawled out, a territorial marker, a declaration of mine, not yours. The sunbeds, creaky and worn, seemed to groan under the weight of my disappointment. And the mosquitoes, oh, the mosquitoes. A swarm of bloodthirsty pests, descended upon me like a plague, feasting on my flesh, my sanity, my very essence. The toilet paper, stained and tattered, seemed to mock me, a cruel reminder of the resort's callous disregard for my well-being. But why, you ask, did I not simply leave, abandon this sinking ship of the resort? Ah, dear friends, it's because I had paid dearly, for the privilege of suffering, of enduring, of surviving this grotesque parody of a vacation. As I sit here, reflecting on the wreckage of my trip, I am left with but one haunting thought: how could they so callously, so cruelly, deceive? The Orangers Beach Resort and Bungalows, Hammamet, a monument to neglect, a testament to the power of false advertising. What do you think, dear friends? Have you, too, suffered at the hands of this monstrous resort? Share your stories, your horrors, your disappointments, and together, let us expose the truth. Let us demand justice, let us reclaim our right to a vacation that is more than just a cruel joke.
Let's be frank. Assessing the businesses surrounding the Orangers Beach Resort and Bungalows, Hammamet. It's a disheartening exercise. It feels as though a layer of disappointment clings to almost every establishment. It's not a place brimming with delightful discoveries, but a landscape where caution is your most valuable companion. It's as if the vibrancy of Tunisia itself somehow diminishes a little as you step outside the hotel grounds. And believe me, after sifting through the feedback, I feel like I need a holiday from researching this holiday destination. What stands out, overwhelmingly, is a sense of, let's call it aggressive mediocrity. These aren't businesses striving for excellence, they're businesses operating on the assumption that tourists, desperate for a little something outside the resort, will lower their standards. It's a grim realization. They appear to see visitors not as valued customers, but as walking wallets. Let's start with what was once meant to be a retail escape, Coast Mall. Now, it seems to be a monument to lost potential. The consistent theme? It's empty. Not bustling with shoppers, not overflowing with choice. It's more like a graveyard for bargain bin merchandise, stocked with things nobody asked for. People describe it as nothing to buy as a tourist, essentially a large fixed-price souvenir shop masquerading as a mall. One person even suspected intentional card payment issues, a disconcerting thought, isn't it? A deliberate attempt to skim a little extra? It's a subtle accusation, but it lingers. And the reports of being shadowed by staff, treated like potential thieves, are particularly unsettling. It's not welcoming, it's invasive. It's a feeling I suspect many travelers will encounter. It's like walking into a store where you're already guilty. And the cashier's refusing to provide receipts? A classic trick, wouldn't you agree? A little disappearing act with your money. A knot forms in my stomach just thinking about it. The general consensus paints Costa Mall as a place to avoid, a space where the pursuit of a souvenir can quickly turn into a feeling of being exploited. This isn't a place for leisurely browsing, it's a gauntlet of overpriced goods and distrust. Then there's Bioazurthalasso. Now, this is a particularly troubling case. What's advertised as a sanctuary of relaxation seems, far too often, to be anything but. The experiences detailed are alarming. Massages performed in brightly lit rooms, devoid of any atmosphere, with a complete disregard for privacy. A lack of allergy checks, hurried treatments, and, most disturbingly, unsolicited physical contact. The phrase "in the UK this is not acceptable" echoes in my mind. It speaks volumes. There's a blatant disregard for basic professional boundaries. The reports of therapists simply leaving mid-treatment, leaving clients alone and vulnerable, are deeply concerning. It's not just unprofessional, it's careless. And the frequent complaints about billing discrepancies, refusal to provide invoices, and overall unhelpful staff create a picture of a spa operating with a concerning level of dishonesty. I feel a coldness in my chest when I read about those experiences. A place meant to heal, instead causing anxiety and distress. It's a betrayal of trust, isn't it? And the reports of unclean facilities only compound the issue. It's as though they've prioritized profit over people's well-being. Let's move on to La Bella Marina. This is where the situation gets truly frustrating. The overwhelming narrative is one of overpricing, poor service, and outright deception. Multiple accounts describe misleading menus, particularly regarding lobster prices, a shocking markup that leaves diners feeling cheated. It's a brazen attempt to exploit unsuspecting tourists. The food quality is consistently described as mediocre at best, with cold vegetables and poorly prepared dishes. The staff are frequently cited as rude, inattentive, and even actively hostile. One person even fell ill after eating spaghetti ai frutti di mare. A seafood nightmare, if you will. And the general air of dishonesty, the attempts to inflate bills, the refusal to acknowledge errors, is deeply disheartening. They try to get away with everything. The service is abysmal, and the food feels like an insult. It's a restaurant that appears to thrive on exploiting tourists and delivering a subpar experience. And the complaints about the loud, unpleasant music and smoky atmosphere just add insult to injury. You go to dine, and you're subjected to a sensory assault. It's just disheartening. Finally, we have Calypso Club Hammamet and Sky Bar Hammamet. Here, the complaints center around outright scams and potentially dangerous situations. Calypso Club is repeatedly described as a blatant money grab. Okay, so I was, looking into stuff near the Orangers Beach Resort and Bungalows, Hammamet. You know, just because. And it's a bit of a mess, honestly. It's not terrible, but businesses around there, they have a way of, how do I say, taking advantage. Businesses in that area, especially the little shops trying to sell souvenirs and stuff, they often inflate prices really high for tourists. Ridiculously high. I heard a story about this family staying at the Orangers, right? They bought some leather goods, thinking it was a good deal, paid way too much. Probably felt so silly afterward, you know? They likely complained to the hotel, maybe even tried to get their money back, but honestly, it's Tunisia. It's hard to get anyone to admit anything. The shopkeeper? He probably just moved on to the next tourists, laughing all the way to the bank. It's just sad. Then, there's this other thing. Businesses near the Orangers, especially the ones offering excursions or tours, they'll promise you one thing and deliver another. I heard about a group who booked a luxury desert safari. They ended up on a beat-up old truck with, hardly any water. They probably argued with the tour operator, demanded a refund, and the tour operator probably offered them, $20 and told them to go away. It's so frustrating, you can see it happening, it's not even hidden. And oh, the fake goods. Businesses selling designer items near the Orangers Beach Resort and Bungalows. Total fakes. Sunglasses, watches, bags. You name it. People get excited thinking they're getting a bargain, and then they get home and realize it's just cheap plastic. They probably threw it away, feeling really foolish, and the seller? They're already setting up shop again to fool someone else. It's such a basic scam, you'd think people would be aware, it's so obvious. I even heard whispers, about some shops near the resort using faulty scales when weighing things. Like, for spices or dates. They'd slightly adjust it to overcharge you. Such a small thing, but over 2 weeks, all those little overcharges add up. The tourists probably wouldn't even notice until they're back home, and by then, what can you do? The shopkeeper probably thought, oh, it's just a few grams, they won't care. But it's not right, is it? It's just not.